Celebrated British artist David Hockney has died at the age of 88. Describing Hockney as one of the most important figures in contemporary art in both the 20th and 21st centuries, his publicist Erica Bolton said in a statement that he had passed away peacefully at home in London on Thursday, a month before his 89th birthday. Mr. Hockney was a genius in practically every medium. He worked with paint, photographs and iPads. He set the art world alight in the 1960s and continued to pack out galleries more than half a century later. He created etchings, lithographs and even stained glass windows. In 2018, one of his swimming pool paintings sold for nearly £70 million at auction, a record for a living artist. Yet Hockney was often surprised by the public enthusiasm for his work. He said he had simply followed one rule: paint the things you love. Our culture editor Katie Russell looks back at his life.
Colour is a joyful thing. I want my art to be joyful, actually.
For all these years, he brought us joy. The unmistakable David Hockney. Blonde hair, big glasses, Yorkshire vowels. A British artist everyone had heard of.
From about 8 years old, I wanted to be an artist.
Born in Bradford, one of 5 children growing up in a tiny terrace, he was a scholarship boy at the local grammar. One school report said he should realise that enthusiasm for art alone is not enough to make a career. How wrong that was.
I'm interested in ways of looking.
David Hockney was endlessly innovating. At art school in Britain, it was abstract expressionism, and later pop art, those packets of tea.
It's got all the energy of the United States with the Mediterranean thrown in.
Leaving dreary post-war England for Los Angeles, he found his paradise, all bright colours and swimming pools, a place to explore his sexuality, and the city that inspired his fascination with water and light.
What I quite liked about doing it was the perversity of painting something that lasts for 1 second. But it took me 7 days' work to paint the splash itself.
A bigger splash is perhaps his best known and most arresting work. The explosive movement of the water contrasting with the haunting stillness of the rest.
This is a really enigmatic painting. I think that's part of its staying power. It's a great, if you like, pop image. Or the real subject of this is missing. Someone has dived into a pool. And if you think of the rest of his, celebrated pool paintings, they're like kind of love letters to Southern California and kind of permissive gay life he could have there in the sun.
I do look closely at things. I can look at a puddle and get pleasure out of them. Most people think it's just raining, don't they?
That sums him up. An artist who looked harder than the rest of us and captured what he saw. The changing seasons in Normandy and Yorkshire. Hockney had grappled with photography as a medium, but found it wanting.
The camera can't get the beauty of this. It just can't get the space, the thrilling space I'm in.
Portraits often featured his friends, recurring muses through the decades. The designer Celia Birtwell, drawn and painted by Hockney over more than half a century.
I never think I'm technically accomplished at all. In fact, I know some people have said, you must be able to do things easy. I've never found it easy.
He always says he doesn't paint to flatter, so he paints it for himself. David, can we mention my green nose?
Hockney embraced new technology, whether an immersive show at the age of 85 or on his iPad, ever experimenting with ways to do what he loved best.
The sense of joie de vivre in his work, of comedy, even a slight mischief. And I think the intelligence of the work was palpable and communicated. I don't think any artist has been more inventive and reinventive than David since Picasso.
I'm usually drawing or painting, yeah. I mean, it's all I want to do now.
That and smoking, David Hockney was almost as dedicated to cigarettes as he was to his art. But it was painting and drawing that gave him purpose. If you've got that, he once said, you just go on until you fall over. An artist who captivated so many and taught us to celebrate the beauty of being alive.
I've done what I wanted to do every day. I've had a very, very good life.
David Hockney, who's died at the age of 88. In April 2025, Katie Razzle interviewed David Hockney. Let's take a listen.
David Hockney is probably Britain's greatest living artist. With his unmistakable round specs, dry wit and soft Yorkshire vowels, he's the grammar school boy from Bradford who became one of the most influential artists of our time.
Why are you popular?
Well, I'm not that sure.
My art is not as good as some people think. It's not as bad as some people think as well.
Never afraid to experiment, innovate and embrace new technologies, he finds the magnificence in the mundane.
Everybody does look. It's just a question of how hard they're willing to look, isn't it?
After decades intoxicated by the bright colours and freedoms of LA, and latterly the Normandy countryside, he's now 87 and living back in the UK.
But all those bossy boots in England.
I travelled to Paris, where Hockney is opening his biggest ever exhibition, a journey through his landscapes and portraits. We talked about growing old, a recent visit from the King, good badge, and his two big loves, smoking and painting. It's your biggest show ever. Do you think it's your best ever?
I think it's terrific myself. I am nearly 88 years old, so it should be. I mean, they came to me about 2 years ago and we started planning it, but I just thought, well, I probably wouldn't be here. I was 86 and I'm still a smoker, a happy smoker, fed up of bossy people telling you what to do.
You thought you might not make it to here,
but
2 years on?
Yeah.
Because of your health?
Yeah, I thought so. I didn't know. But I did. I work every day. And, I mean, I could get 4 to 6 hours a day painting.
And what does it feel like to have made it here? How exciting is it? You've got through the health problems, you've made it to Paris. How do you feel?
Well, I'm just laughing. I mean, we made it, yes, we did. It's fantastic.
More than 450 Hockney works fill the space here. The arresting and most famous early works, the pools, the people, the vast LA vistas. But the focus is the last 25 years. There's a celebration of Yorkshire. He'd jet in from his Los Angeles home when he heard the hawthorn was about to bloom. Another room is dedicated to the iPad paintings, this chronicler of spring created during the pandemic. Walls bursting with blossom and optimism, done at a time when the world wasn't feeling very hopeful. Across the huge show, there's an exuberance of beautiful, bright colours, reflecting Hockney's desire always to make art that was joyful. A lot of people will come to this show.
I don't care how many come. I mean, it's what I think that counts, and I'm very, very pleased with it, of course.
Are you proud?
I am.
You should be.
This is about 70 years' work in here, and 70 years of smoking as well.
And a lot of the pictures have got you smoking in them, lots of the self-portraits.
Yeah.
The final self-portrait for this show, the last piece, you've got a cigarette there.
Yeah.
Is that a sticking it up to the anti-smokers?
Well, yeah, that's called play within a play within a play, with David and a cigarette in his garden. So up yours, up yours, up yours. I thought I'd be cheeky.
It's gone too far, stop it. It's time to stop it. Or speak up. Someone has to speak up. It isn't about pro-smoking, it's about tolerance, because there's a growing intolerance that's coming from all kinds of things.
Of course, there were early paintings, but why did you want to do the last 25 years?
It's 2025, and people think it's miserable and everything. And I pointed out, well, in 1925, they'd had the First World War. Oh, we haven't. I mean, why are they feeling so miserable? It's the newspapers that make them feel so miserable. They go on about health. 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 What is health? What is health, really? I mean, if I can just paint every day, I think I'm pretty healthy. I don't care about anything else.
A room full of David Hockneys, it lifts your heart. What is the secret to a happy life, to having your attitude? Are you born with it, or can you make it?
Well, I've always had it. I've always thought it was an absurd world. I have. I was the only one of my siblings who went to school after the age of 16. So I told my mother I was going to work very hard, and I used to go to the art school from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. And that's where I learned to draw. All they do is sit down and model, and then you'd sit there at a donkey and draw. And after a half hour, they'd start coming round. And he wouldn't say much, but I could see straight away they'd seen more in the model than I had. And so I drew more carefully and things.
Because that's what you told me last time we met, that you look more closely than other people.
Yeah, yeah.
So you learnt that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then when I went to the Royal College of Art, I didn't know what to do at first, so I drew a skeleton for about 2 weeks. And people would mock my accent. Trouble at mill, Mr. Ormondroyd. Well, I'd look at their drawings and I'd think, well, if I drew like that, I'd keep my mouth shut.
Born in Bradford, Hockney was one of 5 children growing up in a small terrace. He describes his upbringing as working class and politically radical.
My father was always very political, taking part in peace parades. He loved painting ban the bomb banners. And at Christmas, he'd put tinsel on them. He used to buy and sell old bicycles or prams and paint them up new to look like new. And I used to think you couldn't tell. He could paint the line on a crossbar bicycle. with, you use a special long brush. To watch it done without a ruler was very thrilling. I thought, incredible that you can make a straight line like that just with your eye. I mean, it's like watching Michelangelo draw a circle.
He's 11 when he decides he wants to be an artist, and his drawings soon begin to appear in his Bradford Grammar School magazine. But that wasn't enough to please every teacher. One school report said he should realise that enthusiasm for art alone is not enough to make a career.
If you wanted to do art, you really had to be in the lower forms. You see, they just didn't think art was something worth anybody's time. And so I had a problem. I immediately thought, well, I'm going to do art here. I'm damned if I'm going to, do what they say and wait for a few years and study something else. So I just made sure I was always in the forms that, lower forms that studied art by not doing much work. It was quite easy.
With encouragement from his parents, Hockney goes on to attend art school. His 1955 painting, Portrait of My Father, now on show here in Paris, is the first work he ever sells.
That was the first painting I sold at a Yorkshire Artists exhibition. I hadn't even put a price on it. I thought, well, how much should it be? I didn't know. So somebody asked me. I said, well, £10, and I thought that was quite a lot of money. And they gave me the £10, and then, of course, when I went to the back to the art show, I had to buy beer for all the students. But I got a lot of change from £10 after doing that then. Beer was about 2 shillings or something.
Looking back, what would that child growing up in Bradford, would he ever have imagined the life that you had to get to here? What would he have thought?
He'd have thought it was pretty daft. Well, I just go on because I've always really ignored the money. I want to work every day, and I do, but there's not perhaps that many people who would do that.
And that was the celebrated British artist David Hockney speaking there to my colleague Katie Russell. That was in April 2025. He has died at the age of 88.